All right, Giants Nation. So I know you guys have been watching the OTAs, and a lot of the hype has been around Malik Neighbors and Daniel Jones and the other quarterbacks thrown to Malik Neighbors. However, the biggest drama is always going to be about Daniel Jones. For this entire year, the story is going to be Malik Neighbors, if not Malik Neighbors, Daniel Jones. So an interesting thing happened with Daniel Jones where one of the reporters asked him how he felt about the Giants trying to trade up, and he said he wasn't fired up about it. And I'm just kind of confused as to like how Giants fans expected him to react to it. Like, what did you want Daniel Jones to say? You want him to say he was hurt? I think sometimes we forget that NFL players are humans just like the rest of us, and they probably read all the same reports. They probably get the reports before we get them. So whether Joe called him and said it was a possibility or he said nothing, he had to know that there was a possibility that if a quarterback fell, his replacement could have been drafted. But I don't really see the big deal with this. Now, a lot of Giants fans have been making a big deal about this Drake May situation. They're saying, the Giants were trying to replace you. The Giants were trying to replace you. But it never made sense to me. Because I told you guys what the alternative was. A lot of you guys, well, I wouldn't say a lot of you guys, a good amount of you guys, I don't know if maybe it's half the fan base, but there's a good amount of fans who are tired of seeing Daniel Jones. They want a new quarterback. And I told you guys that this Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor thing it never made sense if you wanted to replace a quarterback. If you're gonna put them out there and you're not putting them out there with Eric Gray, you're putting them out there with Saquon Barkley, and Saquon Barkley is carrying the Giants, you're going to get wins. Because yes, the schedule was hard at the front. We did play the Cowboys, which is always going to be hard for us, but there were some easy games that those two quarterbacks won. Like any game with Washington is considered easy, and the Patriots weren't trying to win. So there were games that you probably would have won with Daniel Jones. So at the end of the day, the main thing is the way the team was constructed last year, you needed to have the line play good. They did not. They're number 2 in the most sacks in NFL history since they've been recording the stat. So that was the main thing. That was the main issue last year was not Daniel Jones. It was that line and then Daniel Jones. Because now you're like, okay, I understand the line is bad, but what happens when the line does hold up? Is Daniel Jones throwing down the field? He was not. There was definitely an issue with Daniel Jones last year. But you also got to consider that he played some of those games without Saquon Barkley, which is the primary weapon for us last year. And so if you're playing without Saquon Barkley and you're Daniel Jones, who at best is an average game manager, you're not going to win games. So then Saquon Barkley comes back, you have Tyrod Taylor and DeVito go out there with Saquon Barkley, and you win too many games, and so you don't get the quarterback that you could have gotten. If the Giants would have traded Saquon Barkley and we rolled out with Eric Gray and which other running backs we had last year, you're not drafting number 6. You're drafting higher than that. Now, I don't know if it would be top 3. Maybe you do win against the Patriots. No, we lose against the Patriots without Saquon Barkley. You're not beating the Patriots. You're not beating Green Bay. You're probably losing one of the Washington games because Washington was trying to tank, so it would have been hard to lose to Washington twice. But Saquon Barkley, yes, the numbers weren't like stellar, but at the same time, the DC is going into the game knowing that Saquon Barkley is the primary weapon, and so it makes it easier for any of the quarterbacks that are throwing. So Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor benefited from having in the lineup. You're not winning more games or the same amount of games with Eric Gray as the running back. And that's what people fail to understand. So you lose games, you get a new quarterback. You win games, you get a new wide receiver. And a lot of Giants fans are conflicted because they're like, well, shouldn't we want to win all the time? Well, shoot, if you over here crying about a new quarterback and wanting one of the top 3 quarterbacks, then no, you don't want to win. It wasn't an issue for me. I'm fine with how it played out. But some of you guys are still complaining about Daniel Jones, even though he more than likely will be the starter next season. A lot of times when you expect people to do bad or to be injured, they end up being healthy, which for the guys who want to replace Daniel Jones, that is the worst scenario, is that he's healthy and he plays good. It sounds crazy because you would think because they're Giants fans, they would be happy if Daniel Jones threw for like 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, but they wouldn't be happy. They're going to be like, oh my God, we're keeping this guy. That's what's going to happen with this whole Daniel Jones situation. Either he's going to stay healthy and play well enough to be here again after the season that comes up And that's going to piss off some of the fans, or he'll play bad and Drew Lock will eventually start, or Tommy DeVito, whoever. And you just cross your fingers and say, hey, maybe we get Carson or whoever the top quarterback is next year. Or because I think people are saying that the draft for next year isn't good, but I think people are saying that too early. I think fans should wait until the college season starts, because people are saying that they want Cam Ward if we're drafting a quarterback in the next draft next year. And if you think about it, right now I think he's ranked like number 6 or something like that. So there's no way you're going to draft him in round 1 unless he just plays really well. So a lot of people don't realize it, but you really don't need to draft your quarterback in the top 10. Patrick Mahomes, I think, was a number 10 pick. So it really depends on the draft, like the quality of the quarterbacks in the draft. And a lot of people are upset because they feel like this year's draft is going to be way better than next year's draft. And you never know. Looking back 5 years from now, you're not going to know, how it's going to play out. Maybe J.J. McCarthy never wins anything. Maybe he's not in the league. Maybe Caleb isn't as great as we think he's going to be. So you just never know. Maybe there's a guy in next year's class that, 5 years from now, he wins a Super Bowl. So this quarterback drama is funny to me. I actually was in one of the groups and somebody posted the top quarterbacks in the NFC. And the person that posted it was posting it because he's like, okay, they give a top 10 list and Daniel Jones isn't on there. But I'm like, where do you expect him to be, considering how his season played out last year and the fact that his best season in a long time, because his rookie season statistically outside of the fumbles was pretty good, 24 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards. Where did you expect him to be? Like, I'm looking at the list and I'm thinking to myself, like, it's wrong because Dak's number 1. Purdy should be number 1. And I've been arguing with, I call them nut riders. There's some Giants fans, they like to ride the nuts of Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott, but my disdain for those two teams will never let me be like, oh, like, I'm not going to overhype them. I'm not going to say that, Daniel Jones is better than them. I can admit and say, oh, they're better than Daniel Jones. That is not an issue for me. They were better prospects. They have better teams around them. Like, that's not an issue for me. But we had people arguing that Dak should be number 1. I'm like, no. We're putting Purdy number 1. Love's a little bit too high for me. Love had one good year because obviously he was sitting behind Aaron, and I'm gonna need to see you do it again. I don't like putting young players. I don't even, sometimes when I see these lists and I see a rookie on there, I'm like, he hasn't even played a snap yet. So how do we know how that's gonna play out? What if he plays his first snap and breaks his fingernail and is out for the season? You just never know. But what do you guys think about the QB drama? Are you guys just tired of it? Or do you just want to start the season and let it play out and see what happens? Are you praying that Drew Lock starts? Like, what do you think about this QB situation, since it seems like Daniel Jones is going to be QB1, but I don't know. You guys seem to be obsessed with him not playing at all. So what do you think the Giants are going to do next season with the QB situation? Also, do you believe in Daniel Jones, and do you think he could be the comeback player of the year? What's a realistic stat line for Daniel Jones next year? Comment below.